Are you seeing that okay?
Yes, perfect.
Right, okay, so value in our business, value in our people. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I sit here in England on a cold, miserable, grey, rainy day, and I hope where you are it's warm and sunny and you are all keeping safe and healthy and well. As Bacola has said, I'm Bev Messenger, I'm the Chief Exec of IOSH, and I'm delighted to be able to join you all today. As Bacola has said, my background is human resources and personnel management, and I am a fellow of the UK-based CIPD, the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development. So I really feel like I'm amongst kindred spirits today with you. And today I want to talk something about I'm very passionate about, the value of people to a business, and specifically a focus on human capital and sustainability. It's been a really exciting year for IOSH and our collaboration with CIPM. And in spite of the challenges we've all faced across the world together this year, it wasn't long ago I shared the screen with CIPM's own president, Wale Adeheran, and the CEO, Bisola Alofi, as we signed a historic memorandum of understanding to forge future collaborations to the visions and missions of our two organisations and create a safer, better world of work for all. Through this session, I'm going to talk you through why I believe human capital and sustainability and recognising the value of your people is such an important area within occupational safety and health, human resources, and the wider business landscape. But before I start, I'd like to give you a little information about the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health, IOSH. What we do and how we cooperate with partners internationally to turn our vision of a safer, healthier world of work into reality. IOSH is the world's largest membership organisation and the only chartered professional body for people responsible for safety, health and well-being in the workplace. We have over 47,000 members in over 130 countries, and we act as a champion, advisor, advocate and trainer for safety and health professionals working in organisations of all sizes in most sectors. Our focus is to support our members in their efforts to create workplaces that are safer and healthier and more sustainable for everyone. As well as being a professional body and membership organisation, we're also a thought leader and an enabler, helping organisations around the world to excel in safety and health. IOSH is the voice of the profession. We campaign on issues that affect millions of working people. We set standards and we support and develop and connect our members worldwide with resources, guidance, events and training. We also lead on developing products and services that enable employers to create the right leadership, culture and governance in order to deliver tangible business benefits in relation to productivity, competitiveness, brand and resilience. IOSH's vision is simple and clear. We want a safe and healthy world of work, as I'm sure you do. The framework for achieving this, our Work 2022 strategy, was launched globally in April 2017 in the Middle East, which is just one of the regions where we have a very active and successful network of members. Our strategy is designed to align with changing work patterns and workplaces, structured around an approach where we collaborate to influence and enhance in ways that make work better for everyone. To focus our work effectively on key concerns within the very broad span of safety, health and well-being, IOSH has 6 priorities currently: musculoskeletal disorders, well-being and mental health, rehabilitation and return to work, non-health related fatalities, occupational cancer, and sustainability and human capital. And it's that priority, sustainability and human capital, that I now wish to explore in more depth. As Bacola said, on the screen you will now see the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs as they're known. They were agreed in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly, and they're intended to be achieved by the year 2030, which is not that far away. They were designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. They gained worldwide support, demonstrating governments' commitments to jointly tackling the world's pressing challenges of poverty, hunger, disease, premature death, and climate change. At the same time, many of the world's most successful companies saw the advantage of aligning their corporate strategies and policies with these very people-centred goals. They reflect human needs, human rights, and our resources. Pretty much everything that's important to sustain a high quality of life. Within those SDGs, there are 165 targets spanning all 17 goals. And 41 of these are directly related to safety, health, and good work. And this is where our work together to make a difference can begin. The United Nations SDGs are also providing a blueprint for how business can operate more sustainably at every level. And they're one of a bigger set of global drivers that are influencing investment decisions by the world's biggest asset managers. Multinationals like Unilever already align their strategies and procurement policies to these UN SDGs. In Unilever's 2018 sustainability report, it states, "Our approach to safety begins with the recognition that our business has a responsibility not only to our 161,000 employees who make the products we sell in more than 190 countries, but also to all the people and communities we work with and among." Unilever's sustainable living affects every aspect of how they do business. When people talk about sustainability, the focus is often first on environmental sustainability. But sustainability we see through a societal lens, and it links to human capital and management. How we invest in and look after people to use most wisely their skills, their knowledge and experience possessed by individuals or a population, the value they have or the cost to an organisation or country. The UN Global Compact is the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative and has been signed by 12,000 plus companies operating in 160 countries since it began in 2000. It was a call to companies to align strategies and operations within universal principles on human rights, labour, environment and anti-corruption, and take action that advance societal goals. Its signatories see business as a force for good, and that by committing to a sustainable business can take care of responsibility for achieving a better world. The UN sustainability goals are also providing a blueprint for how businesses can operate more sustainable at every level. According to recent estimates released by the ILO, the International Labour Organization, each year 2.78 million workers die worldwide from occupational accidents and work-related diseases. That's a phenomenal figure. And an additional 374 million workers suffer from non-fatal occupational accidents. The greatest proportion of these 2.7 million work-related deaths, 86% in fact, come from disease. According to the ILO, with some 6,500 people a day dying from occupational disease compared to 1,000 from fatal occupational accidents. The greatest cause of mortality amongst them are circulatory diseases at 31%, work-related cancers 26%, and respiratory diseases 17%. Psychosocial risks, work-related stress and non-communicable diseases are also of growing concern for many workers in all parts of the world. It's estimated that lost work days globally represents almost 4% of the world's GDP, and in some countries this rises to 6% or more. In terms of business operations, 4 in 10 leaders of medium-sized business surveyed by IOSH for our publication, The Healthy Profit, said that sickness absence had a significant detriment detrimental impact on their organisation's productivity in the last 4 years. Death, injury is a huge cost to business. If these costs are of poor health and safety, let's turn to the return on good investment in health and safety. According to the International Social Security Association, ISSA, there is a $2.2 return on every dollar invested in occupational safety and health. And as you can see, the dividend is even higher for return to work programs, in which human resource professionals and health and safety professionals can work together to rehabilitate people following a workplace accident, injury or illness. The values and behaviours of businesses and how they treat their staff are coming under increasing scrutiny, because this is where links between how people are treated at work and the performance of an organisation or sector are being recognised. Return on prevention, ROP as it's called, can be used as a key performance indicator of occupational safety and health. Occupational safety and health is a statutory obligation for employers, and it's beneficial to employees, but it's equally a factor for business success. Both human resources and occupational safety and health play a part in understanding a human-centred agenda, increasing investment in people's capabilities, investing in the institutions of work, and investing in decent and sustainable work. Investors increasingly look at these things when determining global investment priorities. By combining HR and occupational safety and health, it is possible for businesses to achieve investments in people and safe systems of work, creating a more sustainable and profitable business and sustainable investment opportunity. Considering the previous statistics, we can see that more organisations worldwide are thinking about sustainability as future resilience. And that powerful interests in the marketplace are choosing partners based on how they do business, including how they look after people across their supply chains. The world's biggest investment firm, BlackRock, currently manages a growing portfolio of $6.52 trillion worth of assets. That's larger than all but two of the world's national economies, the US and China, and a third larger than the next largest economy, Japan. BlackRock's CEO, Larry Fink, sends a carefully worded letter each year to shareholders, businesses, and the world. In the past 2 years, he has focused on values. Not simply prices, share value, or costs, but ethical values, beliefs, and social purpose. In a 2015 report, the International Communications Organization, Global Tolerance, pointed to a values revolution in the workplace, with over 2/3 of people thinking that businesses, governments, and non-profits all need to deliver more social and environmental change. BlackRock and others are capturing this data and measuring performance against these values. They're analysing it and using it to predict sustainability and success or failure and select good investments. So you can see how it is critically important to business. Some 3,000 investors, including BlackRock, have so far signed up to the UN Principles for Responsible Investment, or the UN PRI as it's known. This is a international network of investors working together to support the sustainability agenda, ensuring that it's understood, supported and incorporated into their own investment decision-making and ownership practices. That list started with 63 organisations in 2006, as you can see, and growing to nearly 2,000 in 2018. And the latest figures for 2020 shows this now to be over 3,000. So it is growing at a really significant rate. So we cannot not afford to concentrate on values, human capital, sustainability in business, which good HR practitioners and OSH professionals help to deliver. Those members include the world's two largest asset managers, BlackRock and Vanguard. Between them, they manage over $12.5 trillion worth of assets. To sustain growth and productivity and profitability, this is why it's so important. Because they influence decisions on where money is invested around the world. They are looking for more reliable and sustainable sources of growth. Not only is it the right thing to do, to look after your people and your supply chains, it also will give you a competitive advantage. Investors simply are investing in countries where safety and health at work is strong and reputations are growing. And this is where IOSH's Work 2022 strategy has led to new developments to further enhance the OSH profession, including our own competency framework, which I'll come on to shortly. It's designed to ensure professionals are fit for the future, resilient, and delivering what workplaces need. We can only achieve these improvements by collaborating together to influence change and development. Examples of these collaborations are IOSH's work with the Federal Government of Nigeria to strengthen its OSH laws, and with the Lagos State Safety Commission to drive through regulation, inspection and standards. And of course, as I've said, with the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria to drive education and standards across HR and the OSH professionals, as well as other industry leaders in key sectors. And most importantly, with safety and health professionals through our suite of courses. We recognise the great work that's been done to build and strengthen safety, health and well-being across all industry sectors, and IOSH will support safety and health professionals and their employers to build a safer and sustainable future. This is our competency framework, and through this we can further enhance the role of the OSH professional within businesses. To make essential connections as safety and health professional, a universal language is needed that allows engagement with and the ability to influence not only fellow OSH professionals and colleagues, but key decision makers who are not in their immediate sphere of influence. The IOSH competency framework, we believe, is one such tool to develop that common language. So how does it work and what is it? All OSH professionals will proclaim, and rightly so, that what they do is imperative to business success and that it should be a key item on every senior leader's agenda. But how can we do more to ensure that it is? There's a business language spoken globally to which OSH professionals must tap into, and the IOSH competency framework enables an OSH professional to develop themselves in such a way. It can be used as a reference tool to guide development or recruitment needs. It's not a one-size-fits-all tool. The range and level of competence required for each individual role will vary and depend upon factors such as the sector people work in, the individual's seniority, or the stage of their career and the size of the organisation. As you can see from the slide, it's split into three areas, broadly similar size: behavioural, core and technical. The behavioural quadrants are enabling OSH professionals to build successful, productive relationships. The core cover the skills, knowledge and behaviours to support and enable good decision making in the workplace. And technical to enhance the capability to provide accurate and effective advice on safety and occupational health subjects. The OSH professional are already valued within organisations or via the roles they play in supporting organisations, but by encouraging them to concentrate on these other areas of development broadens their skills and broadens their appeal. Our competency framework can help OSH professionals further reach within their organisation. Businesses around the world across all sectors have been hit by this terrible COVID-19 pandemic. And IOSH has been committed through its charitable work since early this year to share the best available information about COVID-19 as it developed, supporting our members, partners and training providers, and above all, protecting IOSH staff and their families. Some of this work involved evaluating and updating our training courses and supporting our network of over 2,000 training providers worldwide to find different ways to help them to continue to operate. This included harnessing our technology capacity to take IOSH learning and training online wherever possible. Once the pandemic was confirmed, we redirected all of our work, researching, writing, designing, communicating and disseminating advice and guidance to produce content focusing on COVID-19 material. We created a knowledge hub at www.iosh.com/coronavirus. That's continued to grow as the pandemic responses change. The most recent focus on this has been our resources around returning safely to work, focusing on how strong leadership, worker involvement and sound health and safety advice can ensure safe people, workplaces, systems and equipment as people transition back to work. The COVID-19 pandemic has provided organisations with an opportunity to review what they do and seek better ways of doing it. They have a real chance to build back better. Global safety professionals, certainly during COVID-19 and for some considerable time before that, have been challenged by businesses to provide a level of assurance not typically left to OSH professionals. Part of this need for assurance is evidence that role and contribution that OSH professionals are making is not only on the increase, but sought after by business and industry. The opportunity that presents itself to global OSH professionals is that this insurance sits in a sweet spot where few professionals get a chance to regularly operate. If equipped with the right knowledge, skills and understanding, OSH professionals will be the key to unlocking wide-reaching potential within organisations, being critically important, making those tangible connections between senior business leaders. Furthermore, business leaders will then feel empowered to approach investors and governments to further support their global vision of OSH professionals. If you'd like to find out more about IOSH, including access some of our excellent material around the current pandemic and some short e-learning courses on returning to work safely, many of which are free, please do make note of the links and visit our website, where you'll also find additional information on joining us as a member and further additional training courses. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for CIPM for having me here today. And I'll hand back to our host and I welcome any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bev. That was really, really enlightening. Thank you so much. It was very informative, and honestly, I just kept writing and writing and writing. One of the things that I would like to highlight straight on is your vision. The vision for IOSH, I think, is brilliant, and it's very simple. It simply says a safe and healthy world at work. And for HR practitioners, it's one of our front burner agenda now that we must ensure that our people are safe and they are healthy, and not just physically but also mentally. One of the things you highlighted just before you ended was about the build back better. And in fact, I already coined BBB as I was listening to you. Around governance and leadership. Ensuring that we have the right leaders in place, that we are developing our leaders effectively. We have the right systems, we have the right processes, and then of course you're highlighting people. So the people agenda becomes very critical at this time. How are we managing our people effectively, and the culture that we are developing and building and creating in our organizations, and all of that coming together, giving the assurance, that we can build sustainable organizations. For me, honestly, that's where the world is with the global pandemic coming up now. It became very important that we have to have healthy organizations. IOSH really helped for my organization personally. IOSH really helped during that time in terms of the kind of content that we were producing, sending out messages to people, and generally helping us go back to work. So because I remember we had to really touch base with our HSSC team, who are all members of IOSH, of course, and they helped, to guide us through that process. And it's very true for you to build a sustainable business. your people have to be okay. And so that fusion of both realities now, the sustainability agenda and the people agenda, becomes pertinent, for any organization to not only thrive and grow, but remain for the future.
I really believe that there is such a integral, happy marriage between the HR profession and the OSH profession, because we keep it simple: a safe and healthy world of work. That's what I always wanted as a HR professional for my employees, and it's what I want now as an OSH practitioner, chief executive of an OSH institution. Um, and they are just so critically aligned that it's all about people. It's all about keeping people safe. If you keep people safe and you look after them, they are more profitable, they are more productive, they are happier, they give extra discretionary effort. And that's been recognised absolutely through the investment community, that if you can demonstrate as an organisation that you have that high on your agenda, that your people are really and truly your strongest asset, and you care for them and you look out for them, then people will, bring investment along. And I think that's something that all organisations have to wake up to. That that it's really, really critical.
And as you say that, one thing that I also wrote down was that it actually now gives you competitive advantage in the market.
Absolutely. I mean, if I was an investor and I've got money at my disposal, as BlackRock and Vanguard have, and you put two organisations, and one has a really strong OSH record and a really strong people-centred approach, and another one doesn't, I know where I would put my money, because I know that where I think there is long-term sustainability and profitability. So you're absolutely right. This is completely a moral argument about looking after people, but it has a really strong commercial and competitive edge to it. So, the return on investment speaks for itself. It's not a cost. It really is an investment where you get a return.
You mentioned something, and I just made a note that I was going to ask you when you finished. Global business language. What is that? English, French? What is that global business language?
I think it's less about the actual language; it's the terminology. It's the OSH professionals need to speak the language of business, so it's irrelevant what language that is. But it's about profit, it's about sustainability, it's about human capital, it's about investment, it's about those. And I think previously some OSH professionals have spoken in a very technical language about risk assessments and technical regulations, and that's really important, and we recognise that in our competency framework. But we're also saying you need to be speaking the language of business about management, leadership, training, development, investment, sustainability, and having those skill sets and having that language at your disposal, and using our competency framework, which is available for people to look at, to plot your career and think about what training and development people want as they go through their career, I think is really important. I think, OSH professionals have got to broaden out and not stay narrowly within their technical boundaries in exactly the same way that HR professionals did. And, there was a time when HR professionals talked about HR things. Now they speak the language of business.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. Dear delegates, I see the questions coming in and we'll be getting to them. I also want to highlight the fact that we do have an evaluation form. So please just follow the link that has been dropped so that you can also help us fill the evaluation form. But I'll start the questions and answer because I already have a burning one. So I'll ask you, Bev, what is the impact of effective human capital management to organizational sustainability?
They're inextricably linked. For an organisation to be sustainable and resilient going forward, of course, you have to think about, as you said, your land, your capital, your plant, or your machinery. But in a sense, you have to put more investment in the, oiling the wheels of people as you do oiling the wheels of machinery. I think they are inextricably linked. You have to look at after all aspects of the business. But at the end of the day, your workforce are your most critical component. And so, investing in them makes the whole business sustainable and as you say, competitive.
Okay. Thank you. There's a question from Greg Millward. He's asking, what is the benefit of occupational safety and health to the HR professional?
Well, I think it's a really happy marriage. As a HR director for many years, I had OSH professionals working alongside me and for me, and we had a very common agenda: look after your people, make them safe, make them healthy, make them happy. Actually, because a happy workforce is a productive workforce, and I think there are lots and lots of overlaps between what HR professionals do and what OSH professionals do. Yes, we have our separate technical disciplines, employment law and recruitment practice and all those things, and OSH professionals have all of their technical capability. But what brings us together is we are both thinking about people and keeping people safe, healthy, happy, well, productive. And bringing them back to work when they've been ill, making sure they don't have accidents, making sure their mental health is taken care of. So I think there's a huge overlap between the two industries, and that we've can coexist and bring different specialisms together with a very single clear vision.
Okay. Another question would be around artificial intelligence. So where does that play a role now? I mean, I don't think I want a robot trying to check if I'm healthy, but I'm just wondering, over the past pandemic, would you say there's a real need for artificial intelligence coming into our professions now?
Well, I think we won't be able to stop it. Any technology revolution has its own momentum, and we will see AI increasingly throughout our general world of work. Not just scientific, not just factories, actually, and even in schools. I think we will constantly see this revolution going forward, and it has a place. But I don't think it will ever take away the human touch and the human factor. So I think it's how you build that into organisations, suite of tools and technologies to run their business. But it certainly won't do away with human beings. Well, let's hope not, anyway. But in terms of keeping us safe, there are technologies keep training us. Virtual reality, is an excellent way of training without, people having to actually physically do some of the tasks. So yes, I think it's undeniable and unstoppable, and I think a force for good. But it doesn't ever replace the human intervention.
Okay. And one thing you will be interesting is to walk around the office and just see a robot say, "Wear your mask, wear your mask."
Yes.
Two of you separate, socially distance yourself from each other right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question from Gillian Lanio says, you talk about well-being of the workforce. How do you handle staff who don't want to talk to health professionals in terms of psychological risk? They feel it is not their culture to discuss mental health issues.
Yeah, I mean this is difficult, and it's something we've been tackling a lot in the UK, about breaking down the barriers and the stigma that are attached to mental health issues and stress. So there's lots of initiatives taking place here. It's been very well sort of promoted even by our own royal, the royal family. Um, to get people to open up and see that any mental health or stress related issues are not a weakness. They're something that needs to be talked about, need to be shared, and that employers will be understanding and provide help and support and solutions. They're just as important and they're just as costly to individuals as physical injury. And so, I think the more employers can do to get people to open up, and I do appreciate there's really strong cultural differences around sharing those sorts of things, but I think employers have a responsibility to try and break down some of those barriers so that people can be provided with support, because there is a real cost to human life and family relationships, and deaths through suicide and other means, as a result of mental illness. it is a huge issue. So I do think employers have a responsibility, but equally individuals have to have, the self-confidence and the faith in their employer to be able to share the experiences they're going through and ask for help. Because often people put up a guard, a facade, and
Yeah.
people think they're coping and they're not. And so I think it's really important, and I think this is where HR again and OSH professionals come together to train managers to recognise the signs of stress and mental health, because there are some quite visible signs that you can detect, and then start to feel confident about having those open conversations about how people are coping in the workplace. And it could be work related issues, or it could be things happening outside of work, but they are coming into the workplace and affecting people's performance.
I actually like that, to train managers on recognizing the signs of stress. That would really be good, because sometimes your employees come in, or your direct reports come in, and you just go on with the day. Yeah, this task, this task, this task. And but if you can recognize the signs, you probably be able to pick that, oh, there's something going here. Let me go easy,
Yeah,
or offer a solution of sorts.
yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the support is only a conversation. The
Yeah.
support can just be an arm round the shoulder. A support can just be signposting to, some medical intervention.
Mhm.
I don't think we can expect managers to turn into doctors and medics, but they can be really aware and alert to changes in behaviour. And when people are struggling, I think training managers in that is really important.
Absolutely, absolutely. A question that I had also was about CEOs. Now, I said, what human capital development approaches can CEOs adopt in ensuring the sustainability of their organization?
Well, I'm a great believer.
For the CEOs now.
Yeah, as a great believer as a chief exec, that in managing my business, I need data. I need really good evidence and data, and I believe that what gets measured gets managed. And so I think a really good starting point is having some key performance indicators of the business that taps into um, people, performance, and OSH practice. So, I mean, we talk about being at the top table, OSH professionals. The first agenda item on my business meetings is always health and safety and performance. The first item on my board of trustees meeting is health and safety and performance. So, if you set a set of objectives and you set a set of measures and metrics to see how you are doing against those objectives, then you can very quickly identify what interventions are working, what interventions are not working, where you need to pay more attention to. And I think that's one of the absolutely key fundamentals for any chief exec, to have really powerful data at their fingertips. So evidence. Then you need to triangulate that with what you're actually seeing as you walk around the business. But I think a starting point for me, for anybody, would be objective setting, measures, monitor those measures, and identify how far you're progressing or not, as the case may be, and enable yourself to course correct.
Yes. I would just highlight the last comment you made on walking around and seeing, so that a lot of our chief execs should actually walk the plants, walk the floors, and actually see what's going on, as opposed to the dashboards that gets
Yeah.
through the exco meetings.
You,
Yeah.
you need to do both. I'm a great believer in visible leadership and management, and I find out more walking through my building, sitting on the end of somebody's desk, having a chat with them, and then I triangulate that with what I'm actually seeing on hard data. And
Hmm.
is the picture true? Do I need to ask some more penetrating questions? Because
Yeah.
what I'm being told by the data isn't what I'm seeing in reality as I walk around the floor. So I think there's no better way than managing by walking about.
I'm sure you've thoroughly digested the SDGs. So in your opinion, what would be like the top five, for focus, especially if you haven't started at all, and then you're about to start? So obviously, attacking 17 odd initiatives might be very difficult. So for you, from a HR practitioner point of view, what should be like the 5 top agenda SDGs that we should be focused on at this time?
I mean, you're right. There are a lot, and there are a lot of targets, 165 targets, and you can't. It's like eating an elephant. You start in small bite-sized chunks.
Yeah.
The two I think that rather than 5, two that I would really home in on
Okay.
are SDG 3,
Okay.
which is good health and well-being, which again I think transcends the OSH professional and the HR professional, and that's about ensuring healthy lives, promoting well-being for all ages, from newborn through to older age.
Yeah.
And the target by 2030 under 3.4 is to reduce sort of by 1/3 premature mortality from non-communicable diseases through the prevention, treatment and promotion of mental health and well-being. So I think good health and well-being, SDG 3, is a really critical one for both of the professions.
Okay.
And then I think linked to, human capital and sustainability and all the things we've talked about in terms of investment and productivity, SDG 8 is around decent work and economic growth. So it's about promoting sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth. We all need economic growth for prosperity. And it's about full and productive employment and really decent quality work for all. And so 8.8, that the target around 8.8 is to protect labour rights and promote a safe and secure working environment for all workers. We know, the sad reality is that not all workers work in a safe environment. And so that has to be a United Nations collective goal to make sure everybody who goes to work is in a safe and secure working environment. And, that's particularly in precarious employments. That's particularly for migrant workers. That's particularly for young workers and women workers. So I think, yes, there are lots of objectives, lots of targets. If you were to just look at 2 and see how we could move the dial on 2, good health and well-being and decent work and economic growth are absolutely critical and actually very interlinked.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, actually. That's really going to help me personally. Okay, our time is fast spent. We could go on and on when it comes to this topic. Honestly, Bev, thank you so much. Thank you for making out time from your schedule, to be here with us, and for the great insights too. It's been very insightful, and I've seen that people have been joining even as we were going along and staying hooked here. So thank you so much. As HR practitioners, I believe it's very critical that we understand this link between the occupational health, the link between us, occupational health, the business strategy, and obviously environmental sustainability as a whole. In our organization, we just finished our sustainability week, and one of the things that we highlighted, was employee volunteering. And one thing that came out of that session for me, a lady walked up to me and said, "This has been one of the most rewarding thing I've done this year," and and then just have her general makeup, was like she had like an extra boost, to go into the day. So establishing that link and being able to encourage the organization as a whole, to drive that the SDG agenda, it becomes something that's going to help our organizations put our people in the right frame of mind, that they may become productive, and then we take care of them as well. They are happy, and then the business continues to grow year on year. And not only is the business sustainable, but the world that we live in itself is kept safe. Thank you so much. I almost feel like an expert at this point. Thank you, Bev.
Thank you. It's been my absolute
Really,
pleasure. Have a fantastic conference, everybody, and stay safe.
thank you so much. We will. And you too. Stay safe and get some warmth. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, everyone.